Jordan Poole's a pretty good example. I mean, we drafted him, and I mean, if you hear what a lot of people say, some people said that was a bad pick, and they didn't even have him in their top 60, or he shouldn't have been in the first round. And then after his first year, you know, he's the worst shooter in the NBA, and he couldn't play, and all these kind of harsh commentary. And then he even started the year, didn't play.
Right.
Then goes down to the G League, and he starts getting some confidence, and he did all the work. He put all the work in, and that's where, you know, people watching, you know, if you're doing the work behind the scenes, it's going to pay off. And he did. He probably worked harder than anybody last summer in the gym. And then you saw it play out on the court. And I think probably even you, who, you know, you want us to do well, were probably a little bit like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Over the last few seasons, we've quickly seen Jordan Poole go from such an afterthought in the 2019 NBA draft that analysts were actually questioning why he was even picked in the first round. We've gone from that to where he is today, a promising young talent on one of the best teams in the league, a player who a good amount of people thought was deserving of winning Most Improved Player last season, and a player that has an extremely bright future heading into just his 4th season at 23 years old. But despite all of this, you get the feeling that he's still underrated to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, I seen a lot of people in the comments last video. I don't know what y'all think this is. TAC is still better than Poole. I don't know what y'all think this is.
But it's becoming very clear that if he continues on the trajectory that he's on, he is going to be a very difficult player to deal with within the next few seasons. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about Jordan Poole's rise to stardom, his strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to discuss why I believe he has a very real chance of being the Warriors' next franchise player. So let's get into the video. So real quick before we begin, I know a lot of you guys watching this are probably not subscribed, so if you do fall into that category, please do feel free to subscribe. And also, if the Warriors are your thing, I recently made a documentary detailing Klay Thompson's injuries and return, and I spent a lot of time on it, so I would really appreciate if you gave that a watch. But back to Jordan Poole. So like I said before, Jordan Poole is quickly becoming one of the best young players in the league, going from his first season in which he quite honestly looked lost at times and even took repeated trips down to the G League, going from that to where he is today, where he can be a viable first option on a playoff level team when asked. And we know this because that's exactly what he did. He had been showing promise for most of the past season, but his true test would come in the last few games of the year, because during the 2022 season, the Warriors had a stretch in which Stephen Curry went down with a foot injury and missed the last 12 games of the regular season. And so Jordan Poole became the #1 option for the team. And in those 12 games, he would average nearly 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 42, 37, 95 shooting splits. He also had a streak of 17 straight 20-point games going back to even before Steph's injury. It was an incredible glow up. And I would know. I was there. Fast forward to the playoffs, where he would remain a starter throughout the entire first round, while Stephen Curry eased back into his usual minutes. In this series, he averaged 21 points and 5 assists on 55% shooting from the field and 48% from 3. Shortly after, he would return to his role of coming off the bench as a scoring punch and a primary facilitator. However, it became clear that sample of games was all we really needed to see to truly understand the type of player that he is and the potential of what he could actually be. Because during that time, we were able to see his improved finishing ability, footwork, and playmaking. His ability to finish through contact and contort his body around the basket were the most noticeable improvements to his game. Being able to use his quick first step to get downhill. And of course, as a player improves one area of his game, more things start to open up. We would see this often, where Jordan would get defenders on their heels because he's so quick and such a good finisher that this opens up his step back and his mid-range, which he has also improved this season. He's shown his ability to drive and finish on either side of the basket with both hands. His left hand finishing is a little bit behind his right, but it's not a massive gap. They're very close. And again, he's still just 23 years old. Not as important to Poole's overall game, but still kind of important, has been his improved footwork. This is another skill that helps him get to and move around the basket, which by this point I'm sure you're noticing that a lot of his offense is centered around his speed and his ability to get downhill, which does, like I said before, open up the rest of his game, but also opens up the floor for everyone else because of his ability to collapse the defense. And it's clear from just watching these clips that he has learned to use the attention he receives from defenses to his advantage. And that's not really that surprising surprising, considering he plays with another guy that also attracts a lot of attention, and it's probably someone he learned a lot from. However, even though a player can have all these different abilities, they may look different once they face a top-tier defense, particularly in a playoff series. And the 2022 final series against the Celtics was the perfect example of this. In Game 1, it was clear that the tough physical defense was really bothering him and throwing him off his game. But towards the end of the series, we started to see him slowly getting back to the Jordan Poole that we were seeing in the regular season and in the first few rounds of the playoffs. And that showed a lot of us his ability to adjust and adapt to whatever team he's facing, which is crazy important in a playoff series, especially the finals. And that's all cool and all, but what does it mean? Well, to be completely honest, I have absolutely no idea. Because while he may be on the verge of becoming a top player you want to build around, Golden State won't be in that position until Stephen Curry retires. And since he just had one of his best playoff runs at age 34, who even knows when that's gonna be? It may very well be another 4 or 5 years before Jordan Poole is on his own with the keys to the franchise. By that time, he'll be somewhere in the range of 27 to 29 years old. Which, yes, is most players' primes, but that also doesn't really give you a lot of time. However, I do feel if there's any front office that could pull it off, it's this one. The only question would be, what is the team gonna look like by then? And I don't really like looking into the future too much because of the uncertainty, and so I won't go too far into it. But I feel as though the biggest question surrounding Jordan Poole in the next few seasons is how much he's able to improve on defense, as that's really the only weakness to his game. Kind of similar to Steph in the earlier days of the dynasty, around that 2014 to 2016 range. But as we could see these past couple years, Steph was really able to improve on defense by building more muscle and just improving his overall instincts on that side of the floor, even though he was already decent. And that leads us to today. So I don't think it's that far-fetched to suggest that Jordan Poole could make such an improvement on defense as well. But of course, that's just something that we're gonna have to wait and see. But keep in mind not only how young he is, but also the fact that this was only his first playoffs, and facing a team like the Celtics, and he already looked like he was starting to figure it out. And so combine that with the work ethic that was talked about towards the start of the video, and you could have a very scary talent to deal with within the next few seasons. And once he's actually given all the freedom, who knows what could happen. But of course, again, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do believe that it is within the realm of possibility that if everything works out in terms of contracts and things of that nature, he could very well find himself becoming the next franchise player of the Golden State Warriors. But with all that being said, I want to know what you guys think. How much do you think Jordan Poole will improve this season? And how long do you think it will be before he starts to get into that realm of being the guy? Let me know what you think. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Okay, maybe you'll be a Splash nephew now?
Yeah, I'm something like that. I'm definitely a little young, but I'm Splash something for sure.